Hey there guys, this is the second round of Swiss at the VGPC tournament I attended on September the 19th, and my opponent this time is Necrocat, who leads with Kangaskhan and Cresselia. And I decided to lead with Aegislash and Mandibuzz. Now this was actually the exact lead I predicted from my opponent. The team looked very much like a Trick Room team, so I kind of wanted to try and counter Trick Room. So Kangaskhan does go for the Fake Out onto my Mandibuzz, as I actually predicted there as well. There was a possibility it could have stayed base form to Fake Out my Aegislash with the Scrappy ability. Now what I don't expect is for the Cresselia to go for the Thunder Wave, which tells me this is not a Trick Room team at all. Also, I get fully paralyzed turn 1, which means basically nothing has happened here. Now I was trying to hit the Cresselia with the Shadow Ball there. I basically doubled into the Cresselia with Shadow Ball and Foul Play. It wouldn't have done much damage, but I wanted to get as much as I could. So my opponent goes ahead and switches into the Landorus and goes for the Double Edge onto my Mandibuzz. Now thanks to the Citrus Berry, I am going to be able to survive the attack. This is going to be a long battle, I can tell you guys that much, so it might take me a couple minutes of... you might get a couple minutes of silence, but... So I go for the Foul Play there, this time targeting the Kangaskhan. I get a good amount of damage up, and I am able to get my Substitute up here, which is really good for me. I have a sub now, yay. Lefty's Recovery, and this time I go for King's Shield, because I am expecting to see perhaps a Earthquake this turn. Kangaskhan goes to the Sucker Punch, and it fails, probably trying to Sucker Punch my Mandibuzz. This turn I was going for the Roost on Mandibuzz, and I get taken down to 2 HP, and I flinch! Game why? So, this game has already been quite a bit of an RNG fest. And, yeah, my opponent decides to switch out the Kangaskhan this turn, because I will probably end up knocking it out with a Flash Cannon from that range, and goes into Scallywag, the Scrafty. Gets off another Intimidate, that doesn't matter too much, goes for a Rock Slide, and Pebbles actually avoids. That's a key turn. If Pebbles didn't avoid that, I probably would have lost this game. I needed Pebbles, I needed my Mandibuzz. So I am able to get off a Roost this time. I just needed to keep as many Pokemon alive as possible for this game. And I do go for the Flash Cannon, targeting the Kangaskhan slot, so that is going to go right into that Scrafty. I'm going to get some Lefty's Recovery. I did say there would be periods of silence, didn't I? So Landorus goes for Superpower now, going into Pebbles. That's going to do a decent chunk. That is obviously neutral because I'm Dark Flying, and I am able to get up a Tailwind, which is the reason why I needed Pebbles to stay alive. And Scallywag goes for Drain Punch into that slot as well, double targeting my Mandibuzz, so fully expecting my Aegislash to go for the King's Shield, and I do not. So, not only do I get up a Tailwind and get a free switch into a Pokemon to abuse said Tailwind for the full length of its duration. Does that make sense? You guys know what I mean. I also get off some damage with my Aegislash, and that Scrafty is going to go down in one more hit. I couldn't quite tell if this was AV or not. I think it wasn't AV. I think the Landorus was the AV Pokemon. AV Lando definitely getting more and more popular. So now I can just go into Petunia. Now, I kind of regret the way the last turn worked out, because what I should have done is targeted the Landorus with Flash Cannon, so that Hyper Voice would more likely than not take it out the next turn. But it's fine, I just go for Mega Evolution, and I can just easily go for a Hyper Beam here. Hyper Beam? Hyper Voice. Hyper Beam would be pretty cool though. So this is where I pretty much confirm the Lando is Assault Vest. It takes that Hyper Voice way too well. And also goes for the Earthquake, so that is going to break my sub. But as you can see, I did not King Shield again. I have no need to King Shield when I'm behind a sub. Sub breaks, but I'm still safe. And in comes a nice, big, beautiful Shadow Ball into the Landorus' face. And yeah, that is definitely AV. Definitely AV, but the special attack stat is dropped by that Shadow Ball. So the RNG is starting to swing in my direction. Brings in the Kangaskhan here. Now, it's kind of obvious what is going to happen this turn. We're probably going to see a Fake Out into the Gardevoir. And I wasn't expecting the Lando to switch out, but I also wasn't expecting it to go for Earthquake. So I go ahead and withdraw my Aegislash into my own Landorus. Probably not the best of plays, but it's not a bad play either. Because really, the Kangaskhan might have been able to Sucker Punch my Lando, my Aegislash, which would have been big trouble, but it doesn't. It goes for the fake out into my Protect. So now I can just go for a choice-banded U-turn onto that Cresselia, doing more than half. If I recall correctly, I do not have full investment in my attack stat. I am actually quite a bulky Lando designed to live non-stab Ice Beams from the likes of Cresselia and Suicune. So I do a decent chunk there, considering I don't have much investment. And I'd get off a Hyper Voice, which is going to be enough to take out the Kangaskhan, and thanks to the Tailwind, I do outspeed it, because my Gardevoir is definitely not max speed. She has just enough speed to outspeed base 70 Adamant Pokemon, like Bisharp and Breloom, and that is about it. And she relies on either Trick Room or Tailwind, in this case, just Tailwind, to outspeed things. So my opponent goes back into the Lando. I think this was the last 2 Pokemon he had? I don't quite remember. Oh, well, I switch out here. Probably going into my Lando to get off the Intimidate, which probably means this is the last 2 he had because he couldn't get rid of the Intimidate. We'll see in a second. My brain ain't working. So the opposing Landorus does go for the knockoff onto my Aegislash slot, getting rid of my Choice Band, and the Cresselia goes for the Skill Swap into Petunia to remove her Pixelate. Not a problem, I didn't even go for Hyper Voice that turn. This is where I get to reveal a beautiful move! Attract! If you guys don't know what Attract is, it is similar to being confused. It can only work on Pokemon of the opposite gender, and it's like they're confused, but when they are unable to attack, they do not hurt themselves. So it's a worse version of confusion, you say? Not quite, because the only way to remove the infatuation is to either switch out or KO the Pokemon who used Attract. Meaning, as long as Petunia stays on the field, this Lando will always be having a 50-50 if it wants to attack. So here I switch out my Landorus and back into my Aegislash so I can just constantly go for the Intimidates with my own Landorus. My opponent has probably realized by this point that there isn't much of a chance of him being able to win, but as with the last video, he's probably sticking through it to try and scout the rest of my team, to see my moves, to see my items, so he can kind of get a better feel for how, you know, how my team functions, and maybe also trying to fish for the crit, because as if you've watched Cybertron, you know what he always says: never give up until you lose. Just never give up, because he could easily get a critical hit, and he could get a critical hit double flinch on both my Pokemon. So never give up, keep going. Unfortunately, I'm fully paralyzed this turn. I do go for a Rock Slide of my own here. Because I'm not locked into that, I can just, I can do whatever I want. I do flinch the opponent. I actually get a double flinch. That is exactly what my opponent needs to get back into the game, and unfortunately, I'm the one who gets a double flinch there. And I do go for Side Shock this time to finish off the Landorus. I was trying to focus on the Cresselia, because Landorus was quite, unable to move. But right there, my opponent is like, there's nothing he can do now with just a Cresselia. And he's seen everything my team really has to offer. So that is a win for Game 2.